what racism means to you.
I think that racism is intentionally hurting another person that is of a different skin color or ethnic background than yourself.
I think racism is discriminating against any race that's not your own.
I think racism is when you make fun or put down other race or ethnic backgrounds so that they can be hurt.
So off of that question, Brandon said that it was an intentional act. Does everyone agree that racism is always intentional?
I think sometimes people are racist, but they don't mean to be racist because they don't realize what they're saying could come off as racist. But also sometimes people do it intentionally to make their race feel better or to put down another race.
I think some people were raised to think that it's okay to be racist, and so when they say it, they don't really think anything of it, but it can also be intentional to hurt someone's feelings.
What do you guys think are the effects of racist jokes?
Makes people feel sad, it puts down others, it excludes people when you're in a group, but then there are other people who will laugh at it, will enjoy it, will agree with it, and will pass it along.
Sometimes it makes people feel like they have to act a certain way. Like if you're Asian, then you're expected to be smart or that you eat rice or something.
I think that it can put the stereotype on you and you feel pressured to be like that stereotype. And I also think that some people pretend it doesn't hurt their feelings, but I think it always hurts a little bit.
Is it our responsibility to stop people who are intentionally or unintentionally being racist?
If you don't stop someone, if you don't tell them that's a wrong thing to say, then they'll just think that it's okay because they think that it's funny and that they think that other people think it's funny. So if you don't say anything, then they'll just keep saying it, and if they say it for a long amount of time period and then someone tells them to stop, they probably won't, because after they've built up this whole concept of thinking that that's okay.
I think people don't want to be the one to have to tell them to stop, but it is our responsibility if we want it to stop.
Usually we just laugh at the jokes, not always because it's funny, but sometimes because it's kind of uncomfortable, and that's a normal response. But I think it is really important to tell someone that they're being racist because they might not know that they're being racist.
How do you think a teacher can help if they hear a racist joke or racist comment?
Teachers should just tell them to stop and keep doing it until the student gets annoyed and will eventually stop.
A lot of the time it feels like the teachers probably heard it, but they ignore it. And I think the first thing they could do is just acknowledge that they said it and acknowledge that it was offensive.
Do you think it would help if teachers started doing that more? Do you think maybe high schoolers would then speak up more in their friend groups?
They have to know that it is wrong to be racist, and they have to spread the word, persuade others to not be racist, and yeah, that's how you stop.
I think a lot of high schoolers, a lot of kids our age, know that something is racist, but they don't say if it's wrong or not. They can just be like, oh, that was racist, but they don't do anything about it, because in the classroom, I'm pretty sure if a teacher were to just say you shouldn't say that, the student wouldn't listen.
I think it can be really helpful if more people your age are telling you, if the teacher started and opened some students' eyes to it, and then even a few students catch on to it, then it could really affect it.
Do you think that racism is natural?
No, I don't think it's natural. I feel like people, I don't know, just be racist because they don't like a certain group, I guess.
I don't think it's natural. I think it's just how you were raised and what you're surrounded by. And it can just get in your mind that it's okay, but it's not natural.
I think it's not natural, but I think that it's a big part of some cultures, and that if you grow up around a racist culture, then you learn to be racist. If you grow up in a diverse culture, like we have here itself, then you can learn to accept people of all races at an early age, and then you know that there's nothing wrong with them. It's just where they came from.
Why do you guys think racial jokes and racial stereotypes exist today?
For entertainment, for money, for fame, sometimes to put down others.
It makes people who aren't very comfortable with other races more comfortable talking about them, I think. People who aren't surrounded by a lot of races, they might make racist jokes because it makes them feel like it doesn't make them feel so different from them if they can talk about them.
What about those people who make fun of their own race?
I think it's because they know that some of that is true, but stereotypes is when you think that a certain group does something, so the rest of the group does it. And then so I just think that if someone is making fun of their own race, then it's because that race actually does it.
Why does it matter if people are racist toward other people? What can racism lead to?
I think racism can lead to a lot of very negative things, and this just doesn't include like the person being offended gets hurt or anything like that. I'm talking serious consequences such as people not providing birthrights, given rights to other people because of their culture or their race. And even if you see what happened in Rwanda in 1996 or what Hitler did, genocide, that was because of racism against Jews, anti-Semitism.
It can separate people. It can make you feel like you're better than someone else or because you're a different race, and it can make you feel less like everyone's part of the human race, but everyone's separated.
I feel like it's harmful because it builds walls between other races. Like racism, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like we act as if it's not that we're all different, but just because we're a different color or because we look different, because we're all the same, like we all do the same things and we're able to do the same things. So if you're racist towards another race, you're putting down that race and you're just saying that you can't do this because you're black or you're Asian, but everyone is able to do the same thing. So it just builds walls between people.
So if you keep being racist, then younger kids will start adapting, and they will learn from that, and they will be learning the wrong things, and cause violence because they don't know what's the truth or what's not, and they will just keep thinking negative things about certain races.
With the amount of diversity that you guys get to encounter at South, like how has that benefited your life?
It makes me feel not like I'm separated from everyone else. It makes you more comfortable with everyone, and you don't really think about what different races people are.
I think one of the bad things, though, itself is that we tend to have a lot of the stereotypes in our school as well. Like, there are a lot of people who represent the stereotype that Americans have for that race, and I think that can affect people by making them think that the stereotypes are true.
Do you guys think that because the stereotypes exist, people are more likely to conform to those stereotypes, or do you think they exist because they are true?
There might have been a little bit true at the beginning, and then people started to conform to them because that's how they think they're supposed to act.
Like, if you look around, well, mostly I see these stereotypes as the majority of the group, and I see that they are true, but there are people who do not, like, be in that stereotype, and they go against it, and it's just depending on the person.
Do you think that teachers should talk about issues of race in class, even if maybe they don't hear racist jokes?
I think teachers should talk about it because students should know what racism is and how it affects people and how it affects you.
I think that teachers should definitely talk about it, even if there is no racist activity in the classroom, because it's a big problem that affects the whole world. I haven't been elsewhere, but I know it's a bigger problem in the United States than a lot of other places.
Teachers should talk about it even though it will probably be uncomfortable. It should be uncomfortable to be racist anyways.
Yes, they should be talking about it towards their classes so that they can raise awareness and tell them that it's not right and that they shouldn't be doing it.
I think they should talk about it because people should know how stereotypes and being racist affects someone. Even though they don't show it, it could hurt them like inside and how they act towards other people, I guess.
What would you like to see if you could plan your own lesson that your teacher would teach you?
I think the teachers, not to just be like, oh, today we have a lesson on racism. I think the teachers can start out with asking a question to the students and seeing what they would say. Like asking, what's your idea on racism, which is what we were asked. And then it brings out more ideas about racism, and it, opens your mind to a more broad idea of racism.
I think it should be more an open conversation throughout the class instead of just the teacher telling you what's right and wrong about racism. And it should be applied. It shouldn't just be one day and then the next day the teacher's ignoring the racist comments again.
I think that the teachers should kind of incorporate racism into their normal curriculum. The teachers should kind of explain the racist concepts. It doesn't even have to say the word racist or not. Just remember to be aware of it and don't do it.
It doesn't go away. I don't think it'll ever go away.